So I could be eating something that everyone is vouching for is healthy, like let's say the kale, when it was really not doing me so well. Or I was thinking that eating more fruits and vegetables were actually healthier for me, but I wasn't getting enough protein. And protein is fundamental, especially postpartum, for example. All that knowledge and information that was just there in my face. And I was like, wow, all that time I thought I was healthy, but I wasn't doing all of that. But also, I really never gave myself a chance to just sit with myself and really understand and absorb the transition I was going through. So there was the transition in my corporate career, transition from me being a girl to a woman, to a married woman, the transition from being just a wife to a mother. There were so many transitions that I was jumping into and evolving to that I wasn't giving myself a bit of a take, and I wasn't absorbing them. I was just jumping like a phase. Let's keep doing back to back, And that's when it struck me that it was a holistic circle approach to how I wanted to really perceive myself as healthy. It wasn't one aspect. It was a full circle that I wanted to close so that I'm truly living the healthiest I could to get out of that disease.
Do you feel like a lot of women get stuck in the same cycle of, I'm just trying to keep up with life?
Oh, yes.
And I am putting myself not just as a second or third option, I'm the last option.
Yep.
No matter what number that is.
Yeah.
Because I do realize that there are so many common myths. For example, how protein is associated with guys who do bodybuilding.
Correct.
Are there other myths that your studies have proven that women have, for some reason, have them deep-rooted?
Yeah.
But you've just through scientific research, you've realized that these myths have no place in our lives. What are some of them that you can share?
Absolutely. And I agree with you. Women, especially mothers, tend to take the back seat. Remember what I mentioned about the guilt? It's like the guilt if I would take a normal shower, the guilt if I would leave the house, the guilt if I'm going to go to work. The guilt never left me because it's just part of our innate protective mechanism of always wanting to stay around our children. And with that, it is kind of not natural to leave your child. It's not natural to not feel the guilt one way or another. But to me, it was extreme because I had to do so much as well when my child was at a young age. So having said that, the guilt, also taking the back seat in terms of our health and not putting everyone first, like I would be upset myself and then my husband would come through the door venting about something that went wrong at the office and I would have to absorb that rather than also share. It's not my time now to tell him what's upsetting me. Let me absorb that, give him some space. Or, my sister would call and she would share another thing and I would say, let me absorb that. So we always sort of, we're givers in terms of good energy, but we'll also take the backseat when it comes to what's right for us, putting ourselves first. So, and that's why no wonder the majority of all autoimmune diseases happens to women, particularly mothers, within the first year of giving birth. Imagine.
That's crazy.
80% of autoimmune diagnosis happens within that first year or second year postpartum, which is crazy because that's the most vulnerable, delicate time for the mother. But also it's the time when we really put the priority for our child to be nurtured, to be well taken care of. The guilt comes in, it's a shift in our hormones. There's so many things acting up and boom, we lose ourselves. And I love that all the backed by science, researched and evidence is proving more and more those myths that, women don't need much protein as much as a man. Absolutely not. We need as much, if not more, especially during that period that, collagen is something that you need to be consuming when you're older for your bones. when it's something that you should be consuming at a young age from your 20s onwards, because we lose 30% of our collagen every year we age. And the best source of collagen is bone broth. So consuming bone broth at a young age is so important, not just for your inner gut lining, but for your collagen intake, for building muscle, for retaining muscle, which is so important. It's your vehicle for life. So all these myths about, you know, what you should be eating for nursing or what you should not be eating if you're nursing, all that rubbish, you know, I was so glad to really understand it from backed by science research. But also we women are so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves all the time, you know, it's never enough, or we should do more, or we should be present more, or we don't look young enough, or we don't look fit enough, or we don't look good enough for our husbands, or, you know, or we don't feel good enough when we look at the mirror. We've changed. We're getting older. We're getting too tired. We're looking after the family. We're too hard on ourselves.